Yesterday we have started with your creating of objects. You have seen a simple examples how actually the objects are used to access the class data members and member functions, or you can call them as constructors, fields as well as member functions. We went with a simple example of origin 1 as well as rect. Okay. So how actually that can be used, we shall see with some different statements here. You can check here. The following line of code calls the rectangle constructor that requires two integer arguments. Okay, you are seeing here within a brackets new rectangle of 50 comma 100. Rectangle is a class name. If a class name is defined as a member function, means it becomes a constructor which requires a minimum of one value, and here you are accessing with two different types of values which will be associated with the rectangle data members, which provides the initial values for the width and the height. If you inspect the code within the constructor, you will see that it creates a new point object whose x and y values are initiated to 0. Before, just I will make the point here, just we will come back, just you can check here what the values you are having here. Width and height are defined with what? 0 0. When you have been defined with as rectangle int w and int h, at that time the 50 will be stored within the width and the 100 will be stored within the height according to the given statement. The rectangle constructor used in the following statement does not take any requirements, so that is no arguments constructor. So when you are having any values within the function name, then you are going to call that one as arguments with the constructor. If no arguments are there, then we can call that one as no argument constructor. All class have at least one constructor. If class does not explicitly declare any, the compiler automatically provides a no argument constructor called the default constructor. What you are going to see in the next class. Means what is meant by constructor and what are the different types of constructors, how the constructors will be defined and used within the classes. You are going to look after those all the things. This default constructor, the class parents no argument constructor or the object constructor if the class has no other parent. If parent has no constructor, the compiler will reject the program. Using objects, now how actually the objects will be referring to the values of your class. You want to see referencing an objects fields. Object fields are accessed by their name. You must use a name that is unambiguous. Unambiguous means it should be having an executable statement. Ambiguous means confused and those values could not be executed in a correct position. But unambiguous statements are those things which are executed without having any interruption. That is, you may use a simple name for a field within its own class. You are defined with a rectangle called as width as well as height. And for example, you can add a statement within the rectangle class that prints the width and the height. Now you can see here system.out.println is a printing line statement or a displaying line statement which is going to display the values of width and height of a rectangle class, and through that object we are going to define code that is outside the object class must use an object reference or expression followed by a dot. So you are seeing here object reference dot field name. You are seeing here object reference dot field name and mix that object of a class is going to access the field name of the same class itself. So that is called as object reference. So he is going to use a simple example here. For example, the code in the create object demo class is outside the code for the rectangle class. So to refer to the origin or width and as well as height fields within the rectangle object named rect1. Rect1 is a object of rectangle. And how you are going to access, if you wanted to access the fields of the rectangle, then you are going to define the object name with width and height to display them. If you wanted to display those all the things within the class, there is no any problem. If you wanted to display the data members or fields outside the class or any in another classes, then you will have to refer with their objects, then only you can define, otherwise no. So he is going to define here. So attempting to use the simple names width and the height, width and the height, width and the height, width and the height from the code in the create object demo class does not make any sense. Those fields exist only within a object and results in a compiler error. What it means, if you access of the same class fields with the same object, there is no any problem. If you are accessing any object or any fields which are defined within the other class, it makes a compiler error. So he is going to give a simple examples over here. You just check out with them, then you can understand very easily. To access a field, you can use a named reference to an object. As in the previous example, you have seen rectangle rect1 dot width, which is going to be accessing the field of the same class of same object. Or you can use any expression that returns an object reference. A reference means defining the value. Recall that the new operator returns a reference to an object, so you could use the value returned from new to access a new object's fields. So here what it is going to say, it will be saying that int height is equal to new rectangle dot height. New rectangle dot height, height is a variable integer and height is a field of a class rectangle, where rectangle will use the height field to store its values to the height. It's a normal variable. This statement creates a new rectangle object and immediately gets its height. In sense, the statement calculates the default height of a rectangle. Note that after this statement has been executed, the program no longer has a reference to the created object. Once when it executes, this particular reference will be not at all used, or it is going to be deleted. So this is how the object references can be used. How actually the object calls a methods now. Now object has called a variable or a field. Now how you are going to call the methods now? Methods can be called with the same statement like object name dot method name within the bracket if any informations are present within that one. So it has been given here, object reference dot method name within the bracket argument list if you are passing any values, or object reference dot method name. Object reference means a name of the object which is going to call a method name of a class which is already defined with the method of the same statement without having any arguments for it. The rectangle class has two methods. One is called as getRect to compute the rectangle's area, and move function to change the rectangle's origin. Here's the create object demo code that invokes these two different types of methods. These are the values system.out.println of area of rect1 plus rect1 dot get area. Rect1 is the object of a rectangle class which is going to call your rect area, will be calling rect1 will be calling the rectangle function called as get area without having any values, or arguments. Rect2 dot move. Rect2 is another object which is created for your what? Same rectangle, wherein you are going to pass the values called as 40 and 72. So he has been given a simple examples for here. Just you check out with these things, and this is nothing but called as how actually the methods can be called. So accessing instances, variable and methods. Same I have been used with the example here. How actually it is going to be called. You just check out with this example and you can execute that one and you will be getting a output for it. Okay. So here you have been defined with a class called as puppy. Puppy is going to access with a string name. Puppy is nothing but called as what? It is a constructor defined for a defined function within the class, which is going to accept a argument. So it is called as parameterized argument. What you are going to do from this particular thing? You are going to go for accessing with system dot out dot println name chosen is name. Whatever the name you are defining at the time of accessing, you will be displaying that one. Public void set age. Puppy age is a class variable of a puppy wherein you are going to access with the method differentiation. Then you are going to display that one. Then you are going to have a public static void main. Puppy, my puppy is a object name is equal to new puppy is a class name. Class will be accessing the, just you can see here. Just I am going to show here. It is called as what? Constructor Tommy will be sent to name and it is going to display here. Keep in the mind, this particular name will be sent to the name of the constructor and displayed here. Then afterwards what you are going to have? You will be having with my puppy's object name dot accessing set age. Set age is a function of your puppy class wherein which you are going to pass 2 as a value. So this function will be executed accessed here. Void puppy set int age of 2. Puppy age is equals to 2. 2 means 2 is a value you are sent from the main method class and it will be stored within a class variable of a puppy and it is going to display for you. Then my puppy dot get age, another function you are going to use here. Get age is here. Puppy's age is equals to what you are going to have? 2. So it is going to display. Just you can see here. Name chosen is Tommy and puppy's age is 2. Variable value is 2. Variable value means whatever the information you are going to send. So this is how accessing instance variables as well as instance. Instance means don't take into your consideration that it is a different value or a different name. It is the object information only. Okay. Then we can have a constructors. In the next class we will see about that one. And another one thing I wanted to say, at 11 o'clock I will be coming on live within the tech meet. All of you be present at that position 11 o'clock. Thank you.